What's good, guys? Today I'm going to be talking about the latest album to be released by Steve Lacy, entitled Gemini Writes. If you haven't heard of Steve Lacy, he's an alternative R&B and neo-soul artist coming from Compton, California. My introduction to his style was initially through his work with the band known as The Internet. Over the years, he's helped produce music for artists such as Denzel Curry, Isaiah Rashad, and Kendrick Lamar. The list goes on. Needless to say that Steve Lacy has been a prolific artist with a lot of talent and a knack for creating beautifully catchy tunes. I should also mention the fact that up to this point, his music is largely self-produced, with his only tools really being an iPhone and a mic. He's used this form of limitation as a way to fuel his creativity, which I respect and completely understand. He's young and has a bright future ahead of him. Gemini Writes is Lacy's second studio album. It's a total of 10 tracks, sitting just over 30 minutes in runtime. As always, I'll be providing my thoughts and highlights track by track, of course, starting with the first, here entitled Static. This is a beautifully soft and airy intro to the album. The instrumental consists of a gentle blend of piano chords, a soft synth bass line, layered vocals, and an acoustic guitar can be heard towards the end as well. I love the way Lacy's voice sounds on this song. It's very warm and it's wet. Lyrically, there's not too much happening here as it is a short song, but there's fun wordplay to be found here. My favorite line comes towards the end as Lacy sings, "Something turned me off, something made me..." It's funny because he actually coughs, and the word cough rhymes with the word off. This track has other similar clever lines sprinkled throughout it as well. It feels as if Lacy establishes a major theme for the album at the very end of the song, where he sings, "'Cause I'm longing for something secure. If you had to stunt your shining for your lover, dump that fucker." In other words, if your partner is holding you back, let them go. Track number 2 is entitled Helmet. This is a busy and fun, soulful instrumental, packed with a walking bass guitar line, varying rhythm guitar parts and tones, piano chords, and shuffling drum grooves. I love the mix. It all feels like a live performance. It's organic and it's full of life all over. Lacy's vocal melodies are catchy and his vocals mesh perfectly with the instrumental. The main guitar riff is simple and a ton of fun. It shines most towards the end of the song. And at this point, we've got lush vocal harmonies providing some fluff as the song ends. Thematically, it's a simple song about needing to move on from a romantic relationship. As Lacy sums it up on the second verse, "You were so automatic, you know I had to have it. But loving you was a hazard, so I got my heart a helmet. I tried my best to be worth all your while. You just gotta let me go as I'm trying to let go of you." Sometimes it's easy to fall for someone, but that doesn't always mean they'll be a good match for you. Lacy highlights this realization in a beautiful way. Track number 3 is entitled Mercury. This is the lead single for the album, and I've got to say it's very solid work. This is a fun and laid-back song featuring an instrumental that feels like a soulful take on the bossa nova style. We can hear richly layered drums, rhythm guitar chords, a walking bass line, a vibrant horn section, and layered vocal harmonies. Lacy's vocals are cool on this song, and R&B artist Fauché provides background vocals, but goes uncredited on the song title. They've got great vocal chemistry together, and we'll hear more of that later. Not only does Lacy provide harmonies, but there's also subtle usage of auto-tune on his voice, which creates cool colors, different changes in those timbres in the mix. Thematically, Lacy discusses his experience as a Gemini, highlighting the double-sided nature that most tend to attribute to the star sign. He speaks on this experience in the context of a broken relationship from his past. It's clear that he's hurt and full of regret and remorse. I like the way he sums it up in the second verse. "I looked up at the ceiling as I draft my 'I'm so sorry' text. Don't regret the choice I chose, but do regret the mess I made. I see you hurt, I wish I could just hold you tight and close. Don't need long, just want to say I love you and miss you the most." While I don't believe this pain he's describing is something that's unique to being a Gemini, I do understand he had a very specific situation in mind with this song. However, I'm sure many listeners will be reminded of their own bad breakups and identify with this jovial tune about ongoing heartbreak. Track number 4 is entitled Buttons. Lacy has cited Prince as being his dream collaborator, and he's not alone in that, I'm sure. And I can hear his undeniable influence on this song. The instrumental features a rich blend of synths, guitars, a funky bass line, piano counter melodies, and steady drums. For me, I think it's the pedal tones and the synths and those counter melodies that really give me that Minnesota sound, synth funk flair that we tend to associate with Prince. The guitar tones used in the song also reflect that sound with their crispy and twangy color. The guitar riff we hear during the outro is probably the tastiest element of the song. It's just so saucy and it goes down so easily. Because it's such a short song, I like the fact that Lacy was able to give us the tip of the iceberg with the lyrics here. He's describing how he and a lover easily grew close together and became intimate. It's unclear whether he means intimacy in a physical or emotional sense, but it could very well be both. My favorite lyrics appear during the end of the main verse, as Lacy quotes something he told to his lover directly. He sings, "You took me all around, then treat me like a dog, and make me walk for miles, and then you held me up. I will never not love you." It's a distinct emotional experience that he's describing, and it genuinely isn't a healthy bond. But for better or worse, many may find themselves in romantic relationships of this nature, and I just respect how Lacy highlights that in a genuine way. What follows is track number 5, entitled Bad Habit. This is probably the catchiest song on the album, in my opinion. The instrumental consists of steady guitar chords, R&B drums, synth counter melodies, and a constant bass guitar. The vocal melodies really steal the show for me. They're so infectious. I also like the transition towards the end, as we can hear a new drum groove that feels like beatboxing samples. Each individual sound in the drum sounds like it's made by a human mouth. It's really cool. Lacy also provides fun vocalizations to spice up the accompaniment, and the guitars change their tone as well. Thematically, Lacy touches on what it's like to be into someone, but just being too afraid to do something about it. Time will pass and things may change, but Lacy still has some of those lingering feelings and wonders what could have been. I like how Lacy expands on this by describing what it could be like to revisit this person in the future, almost as if he were daydreaming about them. During the bridge, he sings, "You can't surprise a Gemini, I'm everywhere. I'm cross-eyed, and now that you're back, I can't decide if you're invited." Track number 6 is entitled Together, Interlude. This is a sleepy interlude that feels like I'm waking up from a dream and it's like the 1950s for whatever reason. And I think it's probably due to the timbre of the synth chorus that we hear throughout the song. Lacy's vocals are layered and it helps create a beautiful soundscape. We transition into track number 7, entitled Cody Freestyle. This is a serene song consisting of soft synth chords and a deep bass guitar. There's no percussive elements, and it works because Lacy's vocals provide some of that groove for the listener to follow. I love the blend of synths. They mesh well with Lacy's voice. The instrumental swells towards the end in a luscious crescendo, featuring only synths, and it's like the listener's floating on some clouds. It's such a beautiful sound, honestly. Thematically, Lacy is singing to an ex-boyfriend, letting him know that he does not want him coming back at all. He opens up the song by singing, "Sometimes I feel the weight of codependency. I don't deserve the blame. I just don't feel the same. The feelings I attained, they trickled down the drain. I'm just not entertained. There isn't much to gain." During the chorus, he reaffirms his feelings. "Please don't bother me. Don't depend on me." We transition into track number 8, entitled Amber. This is a beautiful tune that feels like a blend of soul, ballroom, and funk. We can hear syncopated drums and piano chords, luscious vocal layering, and subtle synths to flesh out the soft soundscape. I love the way the vocals sit in the mix. Lacy's vocals are gorgeous on the song. He starts off with like a gentle spoken verse, and then he hits the listener with soft vocals, singing. We can hear a gradual crescendo until he's pushing his voice to its limits and singing the highest notes that he can probably reach, and the instrumental swells accordingly. There's also a notable group of background vocalists providing lush harmonies. My kudos to them for such beautiful performances. Thematically, Lacy sings of a sweet relationship that just grew sour, and he reflects on that wild transformation. He's grown to the point that he actively regrets having met this other person. While a bit melodramatic, I'm sure that we've all been there at some point before. Track number 9 is entitled Sunshine featuring Fauché. This song switches up the energy for the album as the listeners hit with a driving boom bap style drum groove that's at a faster pace than most of the album. We've also got a syncopated bass line, steady rhythm guitar, and subtle synths that make appearances throughout the mix. The vocal performances on here deserve so much praise. Fauché and Lacy have great chemistry together. The vocal melodies are very solid. The guitar solo we hear towards the later half is nice, helping to provide a nice change in color palette for the song. And thematically, it's a duet between both vocalists, with each other playing the role of different parties, ruminating on their former romance. It's clear that some time has passed since their separation, but Lacy has a random encounter with his ex-lover, and suddenly he finds all of these old feelings rushing back to him. Lacy opens up the song by singing, "Caught me off guard when I saw you last week. Oh so tough, but you bluffed when you had me. Saying my ex like my name ain't Steve. Gave you a chance and some dopamine. Safe to say, after me, you peaked. Still will give you dick anytime you need." Fauché responds, "Admit that I was a loss. You're taking it just as hard. Criticize me all you want, but I'm always going to be where you are." The lingering feelings between them are mutual, and the refrain during the outro sets this in stone as both vocalists sing the line, "I still love you." We finally reach the conclusion of the album, track number 10, entitled "Give You the World." And everything about this song feels like an album closer, and I do mean that in a good way. From the slower tempo to the subdued vocal performance and soft instrumental, we can hear a mix of soft guitars, gentle drums, and bass guitar. It's a gorgeous R&B instrumental, and Lacy's vocals are truly the cherry on top. I would argue that his vocals are at their strongest on this song. Thematically, Lacy is trying to convince an old lover to come back to him. He's basically begging throughout the first verse, as he realizes the bond that they had together has been damaged. In the second verse, he explains, "I'm so scary, but I'm not so tough. You know, I had to want it bad. The feeling that was warm, baby, it's gone. It died, but I'll give you the world." Overall, this is a very solid album. It's well-paced and bite-sized. I can tell the production team made deliberate choices and wanted absolutely no filler on the album. Every single song is essential to the experience, and each song on the track list stands out as a result of that. From the cohesive style to the great performances and strong production, the album leaves me very satisfied as a listener. I could genuinely go on for hours about the album, but I just want to say that I'm looking forward to Lacy's future growth. He's so young and able to produce such a stellar album here that I can't help but wonder how his music will evolve in the future. And I definitely have to catch him live at some point as well. Who knows when that's going to be, but looking forward to it for sure. And if you've sat here and you've listened to me talk about Steve Lacy and Gemini rights, I genuinely do appreciate that because no one asked you to click on this video. So if you did, again, thank you very much. And if you've got music that you're excited about, new music you're listening to, and you really want to share that with somebody, you can always send that my way. I'm always looking for new music to listen to. It's honestly the best thing in the world, and it's what keeps me going. So yeah, with all that being said, thank you very much, and I hope that you are having a very wonderful day.